Let's try this. Yeah, first try. We are good this week. And that is suitable because this week we have a brand new contender. Yeah, that would be Lemmy. Lemmy entered our life because Kathleen did the Bronx Zoo Run for the Wild charity 5K, and she raised enough money from that, and that was her first 5K, actually, so congrats on that. But she came back with not only a pair of lemur socks, which lemur swag is pretty hot, you gotta admit. She brought back Lemmy with us. Yay! And I've always loved lemurs. When we still lived in Seattle, one of the bands that I had the most fun with was a friend of mine who, I'm not going to name names for obvious reasons, because he had the singular distinction of being fired from nearly every bar on Capitol Hill. He was our singer and bass player. I was just learning to play drums at the time, so it was the first band that I played drums in. And a friend of ours who was a Japanese sushi chef, he was a drummer that wanted to learn how to play guitar. So you had me that barely knew how to play drums, somebody who barely knew how to play guitar and spoke very broken English. And, of course, neither of us spoke Japanese for crap. And a well-known public drunk. So that was actually a great one. And we named the band I Finger because if you look, there's an old BBC program where they, it's a nature program, and they go out and they find this lemur that they call the I Finger because he has a long bony finger that he taps into the trees in order to get insects. And the host, I can't remember who it was, he just looks at this lemur with this long bony finger and he's like, "Aren't you an ugly bastard?" So it seemed a very appropriate name for the group. Later on, I believe it was a little bit after that, I discovered William Burroughs, who, of course, I'm a lifelong fan of Burroughs. His novella, Ghost of Chance, which concerns Captain Mission, the pirate collie Libertania, and it flashes back and forth through time to talk about ecological devastation, plagues that are visited upon the earth, some of which cause people to believe they have the powers of Jesus Christ, and other people develop uncontrollable hair growth. And he also writes about the plight of the lemurs of Madagascar. I believe the original essay, Lemurs of Madagascar, appeared in Omni, but you should look that up. Anyways, it's a wonderful book. I would highly recommend that book. Lemurs are wonderful characters. We all know that. And yeah, I think I basically covered everything and have rambled on far too much of your time. Let's get into it. Thank you all so much. I love you and have a beautiful holiday. Bye. And here we go once again. Had to do a couple of takes on this. Little bit of problem with syncing up the audio. Once again, starting here with the lettering, because doing the lettering allows me to get used to the muscle memory of using the nib, which each and every time it takes a little bit more adjustment in order to get that correct. And there's Lemmy. I found a great photo of a lemur that looked almost exactly like the Lemmy that lives on our kelp bed, and he was in this totally glam pose that you see right there. Kind of reminded me of David Bowie, so I of course had to utilize that. And once again, Baby with her own hand style going on there. And I'm really amused by them calling each other speciesist. I don't know why, that just cracks me up. I accuse Kathleen all the time of being a species. If you live with multiple animals, calling somebody a species, it's a pretty hard insult going on there. and trying to give Howden there a little more dynamic. Him scratching his ear, trying to suggest that. This also came from looking at pictures of the Armory show, of course, the famous nude falling down the stairs, which is funny because comic artists, especially newspaper comic artists on the sports pages, were already utilizing that effect of multiple limbs to suggest motion, such as, I believe it was Tad Dugan. They used it for a pitcher winding up and showed him kind of windmilling there. So by the time the Armory show happened, comic artists were already well used to that technique that was so heralded for. And I believe several of them parodied nude falling down the stairs as well. It's great because in The Goat Getters, Eddie Campbell discusses how there was often a divide between the comic artists and the editorial staff, such as the editorial staff hated boxing, the comic artists loved boxing, and when the Armory show came, the editorial staffs all ran pieces decrying the modernity movement, and meanwhile the comic artists, several of them had been involved in the Armory show to begin with, and now they were defending modernist and cubist painting methods. And I like that pose that Baby has there. That was another picture of a red panda, and the strange thing about red pandas, when you really look at them, either they're very dignified and still, or they are just abrupt chaos. And it's hard. I'm trying to figure out how to convey that feeling of abrupt chaos without reverting to almost a Tigger ripoff, so that'll be a challenge. And the great thing about that bottle of PB, I think you see me just abuse the crap out of the Resist. I still have half a bottle of that. I have 3/4 of a bottle of the Windsor and Newton, so it goes a long way, especially when you're using it as heavily as I am. I'm pretty impressed with that. And if you can hear that in the background, that would be our radiator wheezy going off. One of the wonders of living in New York is when your landlord's trying to adjust how the heat is. So right now we're in the sweat box movement of each year. And you can see I just spilled some water there. I always put down that sheet thinking that, I may spill ink or something like that, but I just knocked over my little portable water cup there, so. And once again, I'm trying to incorporate that technique that I learned from Steve Cronin with pushing some alizarin crimson into the sky before I hit it with the cerulean blue. Kind of give the sky a little bit more depth there. And I love the fact that sped up, it appears as if removing the resist is such a quick and simple matter, which it is relatively quick and painless. It's just funny because Grendel refuses to hold the board, so I'm pretty much chasing it all over the place as it's going on. Grendel considers that to be a bourgeois task. And in this week's strip, I worked a little bit more on letting the layers dry in between each one, and it doesn't appear to, because of course this is sped up and edited, so all the dead spots are taken out of it. And the sharp-eyed among you will notice that Howden's colors have changed a little bit for this as a setup for next week's strip. But, probably shouldn't have put the spoiler in there, but what? All 5 of you that watch this and the 8 that read it. Don't think I'm ruining it for a large audience there. And this is the other great reason that it's good to have each of the pages taped down and ready to go. Is just like in all watercolor works, I can start with the lightest colors, go through and hit them on each individual page, and then move on to the next darker color, so it builds up from there in that way. And I rather like Baby as just a black and white outline there. There was something spectral about that I really enjoyed. It goes with what I say her black metal name was going to be, Bamboo Crusher. Yeah, I think a black metal band of Red Bandits would be hysterical. It would certainly be one of the most dynamic live shows ever captured. Unless you've seen Wading and getting sick from all the smoke and pigs' heads. I'm starting to think neutral tint may be one of the most ingenious inventions that has ever come out. I really enjoy using it. And Lemmy had me dipping into my travel set of Winsor & Newton there. That I think it's called the Sketchbox set. And the thing I wanted to do with Lemmy is to give him that almost ghostly appearance, discussed in the Burroughs book. I wanted to almost make it look as if he was glow in the dark, so I put just a tinge of blue into that Chinese white to kind of give it that off color going on there. So hopefully that succeeded. We'll find out. But I love that pose of that lemur. I mean, I simply reversed it just to make it fit for that. But I love how that is such a glam Bowie pose. It's wonderful. Had me walk around the apartment singing Lemmy played guitar. Yeah, hopefully I captured the spirit of Lemmy in this one, because he's a great addition to the Kelp Bed. Kathleen did very well on that. And it looks like we're at the end, so once again, thank you for watching. Love you all. Have a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. Just have fun with your loved ones. Bye.